Hey everyone, welcome or welcome. Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Abigail and I make videos about special needs and health issues and feeding tubes. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving y'all things I've learned from having a feeding tube are feeding tube advice. Now, I want to start by saying I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but I have been through a lot with my health and I have been on my feeding tube for a while now. For those of you that don't know, I have a separate G tube and a separate J tube. My G tube is just for venting, also known as getting sick out of, so that I don't actually have to get sick. And the J tube that goes to my intestines is for my feeds because my stomach doesn't work right because I have gastroparesis, so it's partially paralyzed, plus some of my stomach is herniated. So anyways, being on a feeding tube, I feel like I have some pretty good advice, so I wanted to share the advice / tips that I have. Tip number 1, try to keep your formula as cool as possible. I am on a 24-hour feed. Basically, my nutrition is fully based on my formula, other than I can have some types of candy, some kinds of ice cream, and that's about it as far as like food. I can't have enough food that it's like where I can sit down and like have a meal. So my nutrition pretty much fully comes from my formula, but you know, there's a few things like ice cream and candy that I can have. The reason why I say to keep your formula as cool as you can is because your formula can ruin in the heat. This is hard in the summertime because it gets so hot here. I have had my formula ruin on me so many times, and when my formula ruins, it gets like chunky and it's really gross. If I am carrying it around in my backpack like I normally do, right now it's on my pole. It stays on my pole at nighttime when I'm going to bed, but in the morning I take it off the pole and I put it in my backpack. If it's in my backpack, if I'm at home, normally it stays cool enough as long as I have my air conditioner on, like my window unit on. But if I'm going out somewhere, I put a ice pack in my backpack and I put the formula bag over the ice pack so that it's less likely to go bad. Because the problem is that even though it has went bad sometimes, we really don't want it to go bad that often because I only get so many bottles of formula a month from the supplier, so I don't want my formula to go bad. So make sure you keep your formula cool, that it doesn't get too hot. I'm trying to think of another tip. I guess my tip number 2 would be, especially if you're on 24-hour feeds like I am, keep a change of clothes in your bag. I carry a backpack, so this is a lot easier for me. But in my backpack, I keep a change of clothes. And that way, if something happens and my formula leaks on me or something and I'm out in public, I can just change my clothes and I don't have to worry about, being like soaked in formula, because that would not be fun. It would be like really sticky, and my formula does not have the best smell to it, so that would be really bad. I also keep a syringe and a little cup and some tape, some medical tape in my backpack, because the extension that goes to my button, I tape onto my skin since I'm on a 24-hour feed, because it just, that way the extension is less likely to come out if it's taped to my skin. So, another tip is at bedtime, I put in 2 bottles of formula instead of just 1, and then my mom will come in my room early before work and flush my tube for me, and then I don't flush it again until I get up for the morning. I'm trying to think of what else. I would say I enjoy telling people about my situation and why I'm on a feeding tube, and things about my health and my birth defect and the things that I go through, because I found out that whenever especially when I go out of town, when I'm at like a gas station or somewhere and people there don't know me, sometimes people stare, and I know that they're thinking, like, wanting to ask me, but they're like afraid I'll be offended if they ask. So, like, I don't mind answering the question, but sometimes people do give the look as wanting to ask, but don't want to be rude. And if you're new and you don't know, I'm on a feeding tube because I wasn't able to hold down food because I have a hernia, as well as gastroparesis, so part of my stomach is paralyzed, and both of those situations were causing problems where I couldn't hold down my food. So other than ice cream and a few kinds of candy, and I can also have like peanut butter and Nutella, but no, like, real food. So anyways, I'm on a 24-hour feed because that's how I get basically my nutrition. I've gained good weight from it, but that's the short version of why I'm on a feeding tube. But I really enjoy sharing my life with having a disability, and health issues. I'm trying to think for one more tip. Well, what I would say. I would say, if you have a feeding tube, be sure that you clean under the buttons with water and a Q-tip. I do this twice a day. I do it once in the morning and then once before I go to bed, unless it's like a day where it's like extra crusty or extra gross. And the reason you do that is you just get like a Q-tip, put some water on it, and clean it. You do that because under the feeding tube buttons, it can get like crusty and like sticky and stuff. And so you definitely want to keep that clean. The only time that I skip is if I'm taking a shower, then I skip that night. But other than that, it's once in the morning and once at night that I clean it. So those are some of my tips that I have for having a feeding tube. So thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye, everyone.